Well, I thank everybody for being here. This is, as we kick off the 115th Congress, we're doing as we had done in the 114th Congress, and having our first major full committee hearing with our inspectors general. We cannot thank you enough for the great work that you do. In fact, we have a packed audience here, and if I can indulge me here for a moment, we'll allow those that are testifying to stay seated, but if you're part of that Inspector General community, either as staff or the Inspector General, if you could please stand for a moment, I'd like to recognize those of you.
Wow.
Oh, very good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. On behalf of all of us that serve here, thank you for your service and your interest, and we want you to know how deeply valued you are in the work that you do. One of my greater fears is that you do all this work and that we're not doing enough to make sure that we're paying attention to it and that we're actually acting on it. You know, we're not only the Oversight Committee, but we're also the Government Reform Committee. So we want to be able to take that good work that you do and translate it into action that actually helps solve the problem. So you're not continuing to look at the same problem year after year after year, and that should be such a flashing red light for this committee and everything that they do. The Inspectors General are embedded into the federal government to protect taxpayers, and they're really the first line of defense against waste, fraud, and abuse. Nonpartisan, they're as patriots to understand what's happening in the bowels of this large bureaucracy. In the fiscal year 2015, it's estimated that the Inspectors General saved roughly $37 billion annually with just a budget of $2.7 billion. Now, that's a pretty good rate of return and a pretty good evidence that the money we spend in the Inspector General community is certainly worth the effort. Again, this is the first committee, but the first hearing, and as I kind of get into the details of some of this, I want to address something that did pop up in the news. There was a mistake that was made where a junior member of the transition team left a message, and I'm not sure if it was, I know it was on at least one person's voicemail, and I don't know if it was on all of your voicemail, it's saying that they're working on a temporary basis. That was later clarified by a more senior person that that was not the case. And I think, as the Inspector General Horowitz will say, and I want to let you know that I've spoken with the General Counsel at the White House on this topic. I think it's safe to say that that was a mistake. They wish it hadn't happened. It's not their approach. It's not their intention. As I said mentioned in a committee hearing yesterday, I had an opportunity to visit with the President when he visited us in Philadelphia last week. It was a very brief conversation, but he thanked me for the work that we were doing on oversight. He said, continue to go and do what you're going to do. Even though I'm the President, just you need to keep looking at the federal government, the bureaucracy, and that's the impression, but that's also literally what they have told me. When I spoke with Don McGahn, who is the White House General Counsel, he assured me that was not the case, and I'm glad that we got that clarified. We would all be concerned on both sides of the aisle if that was the approach that they were taking, and they shouldn't have done that. It was a junior person, and you need to let me know if you're seeing or hearing anything to the contrary, but I've been assured that that is not what they're doing. This was a mistake that also happened in the Obama administration in 2009. We went to fire Mr. Walpin, then the IG for the Corporation of National and Community Service. That firing came without the President giving the legally required notice to Congress, and was the only IG firing by a President in the last 35 years. Mr. Walpin later sued, saying the firing was retaliation for an investigation he undertook. With each new administration, I'm sure there's a learning curve, and hopefully they've learned that lesson. So I also think it's very important for the vacancies that there are there that those are filled in a swift manner. Now, we're not in total control of that here in the House. We get more frustrations coming out of the Senate, and you can understand the large amount of people that have to go through that confirmation process, from a Supreme Court justice to cabinet level to others that need to go through the Senate confirmation. I hope that that's swift. I'm not in total control of that here in the House, like I said, but I will do everything I can to encourage and push and say to the White House and to this administration, it is in their best interest, to have a vibrant Inspector General community. People act best when they're having someone look over their shoulder. And it protects us all, protects the taxpayers, it protects the White House, it protects Congress, it protects everybody. So we will take that approach as we do that. In the year 2014, 47 Inspectors General sent a letter to this committee and to the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee detailing significant access problems. For example, the Peace Corps Inspector General, who's here with us, was being denied access to files related to sexual assault of Peace Corps volunteers by the Peace Corps General Counsel. Denying access to files is something I have fought. Chairman Issa fought before me, and we will continue to fight as a committee. In another instance, the Chemical Safety Board told the EPA Inspector General would not provide documents based on attorney-client privilege, a new creative way to suggest that they didn't have to be open, transparent, or allowing you access to the information you need. In the last 2 years, we've worked closely with Ranking Member Cummings to craft legislation to ensure the Inspectors General can do their job, and I want to thank Mr. Cummings personally for his steadfast support on these issues, and I think we've worked well on them. The result of the cooperation was the IG Empowerment Act of 2016, which was signed into law in December, and it took a lot of lifting to get there, but not nearly the amount of lifting that you do and the frustration that you've been bumping up against for so long. The bill made clear that the Inspectors General can only be denied documents based on explicit statutory prohibitions, not vague privileges or strained readings of other statutes. In addition, the Act streamlined investigation procedures, instituted new reporting requirements to improve transparency, and streamlined the investigation process to make IG's operations more efficient. We will continue to support the Inspectors General in this new Congress as these issues may arise again. One issue carried over from the last Congress that should be addressed again is the vacancies. As of 2015, the average duration of an IG vacancy, this is the average, during the past administration was 613 days, far in excess of the previous administrations. That's unacceptable, and we have got to work to speed that up. I hope the new administration makes it a priority to fill these vacancies, and we will push them to do so. Finally, I'd like to hear from our witnesses on the process of criminal referrals by the Inspectors General. Our IGs do great work conducting investigations, and many times their work culminates in a referral to the Department of Justice for possible prosecution. There's little transparency regarding the volume, evaluation, or outcome of these referrals. Frustratingly, I had been peppering the Department of Justice to provide us such stats, but they are just simply have stonewalled us for years during the Obama administration. The IG Empowerment Act attempts to increase the transparency by requiring reports to Congress on the referral data. If I know what is being referred directly to the Department of Justice, I then have a better fact pattern to push the Department of Justice to say, why don't you ever prosecute these people? It's not good enough to say, well, just fire them. If you want a remedy, just fire them. But the civil service reform, which we're going to go through in this Congress, they're so prohibitive on firing people. It's this vicious circle where the bad apples that are there causing the most harm often continue to sit in their seats, take income, while harming the rest of the process, their fellow employees, the departments, the agencies, and ultimately the taxpayers. So we'd like to hear more about the referral process and what can be done to better expose it. And we will do our part to push the Department of Justice or the local, or whatever the appropriate law enforcement is to actually, or prosecutors to actually push on this. And again, want to thank you all for the great work that you do. You represent literally thousands of people who spend their lives doing this. We can't thank them enough, and appreciate you all attending today, and thank the witnesses in particular.